I should just open with my shirt. Just like, I just made that noise with my nose. That was squeaky.
Headphones.
Oh.
Headphones.
I am Louise Palanker. Welcome to Our Place Out Loud. I am your lovely and captivating host. My shirt is white and gold.
No, it's not.
My headphones, Matt's yelling. Oh, so tonight is our first night on YouTube broadcast, and so we're going live on YouTube broadcast, which offers us all kinds of brand new functionality, which is going to be fun and inclusive and collaborative, and all you guys are going to get involved. People are going to be able to Skype in and, with your parents' permission, be on the show. There's a lot of like hubbub in the room because we've got these new GoPro cameras, and Justin and Jake have been hard at work all week, really for the past several months, making all of this happen tonight. So if you want to watch the show on YouTube broadcast where you would have chat capabilities, is that correct, Matt?
I am in the chat.
All right. If you want to have chat capabilities, put your device down and go online to youtube.com/ourplacecommunity. Yes, Aaron?
You can actually chat in the YouTube app if you're watching live on the stream.
All right, so you can, if you had the YouTube app, if you don't want to go to your family's computer and you want to just stay on your device, what do they do, Aaron?
You basically just go to our page. You'll see on our page that we're streaming live. Go to that video. And at the bottom of the screen, you should see a chat pop-up option. Tap that, and you're good to go. We will see you. Say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, so we want to see you in the chat tonight, and we're challenging you to come into the chat and make this new place whatever you guys want it to be. Because if you guys want to go into the chat and say, hey, you guys, could you talk about tomatoes? Then we'll be like, hey, Nancy wants to talk about tomatoes. She's a freak. And but then we'll, after we make fun of you, we will talk about tomatoes or what have you.
And how they are a fruit.
Oh, right. No, they're blue and gold.
Whoa.
That just ends every argument. Blue and gold. All right. So what other exciting news do we have to report this week?
You were supposed to introduce the cast.
Oh, the cast. Okay, that's right.
Who are we, Weezy?
So, I'm here with a panel of wise and wonderful teenagers. In the studio, we have Jake.
Oh, you're supposed to introduce Aaron first.
Oh,
And
okay.
Aaron.
Me first, apparently.
There's Aaron.
There's Aaron and
Nina. Sam. And Allie. Did I say that too fast?
That,
That was supposed
that
to be
may
like
or may not have
alphabetical
been
order. Ends like A
Oprah,
and
Uma, Oprah.
And Gail.
And Gail. And there's Jake. All right. So, so now we have new identifying language on the screen so that if you don't know who we are, you can read who we are. We have subtitles. We're going to do the show in Spanish next week, and Jake will be typing out the subtitles in Photoshop. Porque. Me. I don't know. Because Teresa's in, where's Teresa, Jake?
El Salvador.
Teresa's in El Salvador. She's probably speaking Spanish right now, so she would enjoy it. All right, so this letter comes in from Dead the Undying. She says, my parents want me to start getting the bus home from school, and I don't really know if I want to. What are some of the pros and cons of getting the bus home? So I didn't know if she was talking about a city bus or a school bus, but I think like anything else in life, if you haven't done it before, it's the unknown, and the unknown is scary. Nina.
I went to a private school up until I moved to New York in 5th grade, and I had to ride a bus, and I ended up really liking riding the bus, just in case that helps.
Public bus?
Yeah. And once you make friends, it's a lot easier. If you have friends that ride the bus, then it's fun. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly nothing to worry about. If you're used to being dropped off and picked up from school, then that's the familiar, and there's no danger or unknown there. But if it would make your parents' lives easier, and you have an opportunity to do something that challenges you or causes you to go outside of your comfort zone in a relatively safe way, then go for it. Not all of life is supposed to be safe. That's how you learn and grow and have new experiences, make new friends. Allie?
You just said what I was going to say. Going out of your comfort zone. If you're always in a place of like safety and comfortability, like you're never growing. So if you're taking the metro or something, like you'll see scary people, but it's really eye-opening, and it's good to actually talk to those people, because they probably have people ignoring them all the time, and like they just want somebody to talk to. So it's a good opportunity to go out of your way and maybe talk to somebody who like doesn't have anyone or is weird,
Yeah, and if it's a school bus, then I would think that a public bus is actually less scary than a school bus, because on a public bus you're not going to get.
I thought you meant like a public school bus.
Well, that's what I don't know. All she said is a bus.
I meant like school, like public school. on a bus.
Right. So I don't know if she means like a big yellow bus
Yes.
or a city bus. But I think on a city bus, you're actually safer in a weird way because you're not going to get bullied. There may be homeless people talking to themselves.
I like talking to strangers.
They
Am I
are
weird
harmless.
in that way?
They cannot
No,
hurt you
it's-
at
it's
all.
good.
They just are there on the bus and they cannot harm you. Whereas if you're taking a big yellow bus with people who are your peers at school, they could potentially harm you and make you sad. But you can still survive that. Go ahead, Aaron.
Having said that, I don't recommend taking public buses past 12 o'clock.
No.
Just a word of warning.
Well, one time I said to my brother who lives in New York, I go, all right, so you pass this gate and you can ride the subway conceivably all day. And my brother goes, some people do. And that's exactly where they live.
Right.
So, like, yeah, once you get into the subway, you don't have to ever come back out of the subway. You can just go from car to car to car
Right.
forever.
There hits at one point you do hit a public transit twilight zone, and
Yeah.
most people don't come back from that. So
Yeah,
no, that's
time-
an exaggeration.
There's
but,
some
but
time travel involved.
Yeah.
So that probably won't happen to you. But, I think we're just really talking about whether it's a big yellow school bus or a city bus, you figure it out and you realize, wow, I can do this. And if it's a big yellow bus and you're getting bullied, you can always report that. And the bus driver is supposed to. Has anyone ever taken like a big yellow bus and had a
Like
bus
not on a field trip?
Yeah, just every day. Like, what's your familiarity with like how involved the bus driver gets if somebody is being just horrible? Nina?
I had a situation where someone threw my backpack out of the window during the bus ride, and I have a hard time getting mad at people, so I was actually afraid to even I was actually going to get home and tell my mom where it was and then go home with the bus driver pulled over, stopped in the middle of the street and put the stop and said, whoever just threw that out the window, go get it right now.
Wow. Hedge
It
your
was
back.
actually really embarrassing for me. I would rather have. So they do get involved. There's a lot of kids that throw rubber bands at the window in the front.
This bus driver didn't
So-
just have your back; he had your backpack.
Yes, indeed.
You must have like a
Righteous.
small bag. Those windows are kind of small. Like, they,
Yeah,
like,
they
stop
like the little
halfway.
sliver. I had
Yeah.
like a binder,
push
and
the
that's all I
things
had. I
in.
was about to be break, and I just threw out. He just felt the
Well,
need.
If
I don't
anyone-
really understand why. He's a dingus.
Who's seen the movie, who's seen the movie Bully? Because they're just picking on this kid, and there's cameras on the bus, and it's a documentary, and it's like very, very interesting, and nobody's doing anything. What were you going to say, Aaron?
So I was in school for a little bit before I was homeschooled, and I don't have great memories of what was going on in terms of detail. But I was on the bus, and I remember that the bus driver was just sort of the bus driver and meant well, and there wasn't that much the bus driver could do, really, once you hit a certain point behind the bus driver.
Yeah.
And so I think what I ended up doing was just sitting near the front. And that was fine. I remember it being okay.
So that's a good tip for her. If it's a big yellow bus and you're worried about bullies on your bus, sit near the front. The less shenanigans go on, the closer you are to an actual adult person. If you want to sit in the back, you may be more have a better seat for all of the crazy kids just being
Kids.
well, like before and after school, kids kind of on a bus, just there's less rules, and so they can kind of go nuts. And if you feel like, oh, I could roll with that, then sit back there because it can be kind of entertaining. But if you're just like, I don't want to be the butt of any of what they're doing, sit near the front because Aaron's right. Less scary stuff. I would say for a newbie on the bus, sit near the front.
I always sat in the back. But I wasn't making trouble. I just observed.
Well, I think we also know what happened. You lost your backpack.
Yes. Yes.
That would not have happened at the front
Don't
of the bus.
lose your backpack.
Yeah.
Don't
Being
let
in
don't
the
let
front is
don't
fun.
turn always hold on to your belongings on the bus. Don't let it flimsy all over. Zip your backpack.
Zip your backpack.
Because it's very frustrating when everything falls over and it slides under all the seats.
So
Tips.
I had kind of like I guess my bus memory, the worst bus memory that I have, because I'm sure I put up with bullying and all kinds of things that you just kind of roll with it. It's like the bus, whatever. The bus,
You
the
roll
bus
with
gets
it
to
and
school.
You're on a bus. That's
Yeah. The kids on the bus are mean, mean, mean. So there's one time I had actually won a yo-yo for being the kid in class that improved their grades the most, and I had I was definitely when the yo-yo prize was announced, I was hell bent on earning that yo-yo prize, and I won the yo-yo prize, and I was happy for about 3 hours, and then on the bus, I dropped the yo-yo, and the bus stopped, and it's a yo-yo, so it rolled, and none of the boys in the back of the bus ever claimed to have seen it, and it was just gone. So someone took my yo-yo, and that happened on the bus. That's my saddest bus memory. Go ahead, Jake.
1, you can't see it, but I have my own little camera. 2, did you permanently tank your grades in order to then improve them the most to get that yo-yo?
No, I will tell you what happened. Mrs. Fleshman was looking directly
That was
at
the
me.
name of your teacher?
Yes.
Fleshman.
Fleshman.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
Do you know her?
I don't have to.
Yeah. So Mrs. Fleischman, Fleischman,
Where's that
she
from?
was looking directly at me when she said the most improved student will get a yo-yo. She was one of those teachers who knew me, knew I liked yo-yos, and knew that I was not working up to my potential. So she was challenging me, and I knew it, and I was up for that. Damn straight.
How old are you? Just out of
5th grade.
I don't know how well that translates
That's
to.
10.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really?
Oh,
Yeah.
I won a bouncy ball at gymnastics, and my mom got mad when I kept bouncing it in the car, and so she threw it out the window.
Wait, what is with you and your belongings being thrown out windows?
Oh, I didn't even make that connection until
You know
just
there's
now.
a fine
I
for
don't know.
littering?
She was like, "That is enough," and I kept doing it, and it kept bouncing up into the front window and almost hitting her. And she was like, "No, that's done." She took it, chucked
Your
it out the
mom-
window.
Your mom doesn't play.
She doesn't play. She doesn't.
Nina needs to be in like a submarine, like no windows whatsoever, just as a precaution.
Oh my goodness. All right, next question from Molly. Someone just told me he's liked me for 2 years. I feel horrible. I have zero interest in him that way. What do I do? Aaron.
You say, I'm very flattered that you feel that way. I can't reciprocate those feelings.
From you, and it else think that you're bad person. Tell him no, like continue to like give him signs that you may be interested, because this person might be sending off signs like unintentionally,
Mhm.
you know, that she's interested.
Well, I mean, I think some people just sort of the way they interact with the world is sort of flirtatious to both boys and girls, because it's just their way, and it's not intentional. It's just that's how they see the world, and that's how they interact with it. And so if he's not sensitive enough to pick up on the signs that, oh, just because I'm teasing you doesn't mean I like you or whatever, if people are not sensitive to little clues, it's okay to be extremely direct and to say, that is so sweet, but I think of you as a brother, and just be really, really clear. Like, don't even just say, well, I would like you, but right now I like Chad. Like, don't give an excuse where he thinks that if not for this one factor, she'd be in love with me. Because people will sort of paint the reality to look the way they need it to look, and you need to be clear, because what Allie says is really true. Like, you're not the bad guy. You don't have to like him. It just is. It is or it isn't. So be clear. And I know you're going to feel horrible, but that's what he needs to hear so that he could open up his heart to somebody else loving him. Any other thoughts? Any experiences? Yes, Nina?
I have lots of stories today.
Okay, man. It's Nina's story day.
When I was in the Bahamas this summer, there was this. I hope that he doesn't know.
Okay, let's just get this. Did anything fly out a window?
No, not
The
not
plane,
not this time.
The room.
Not this time.
Okay.
So yes,
Your brother.
there was this kid. We were on the bus, this public bus, not school, not yellow. And we were going back to our hotel, and this kid and his brother were sitting there, and we were just striking up a conversation. And then they started asking each other for their phone numbers, even though we just had a 5-minute conversation. And then the entire trip, they had followed us around. It got very
Wow.
aggravating. And then this kid, I think he was 10 or 11. It was very uncomfortable. There was like a karaoke thing, and I sang a song, and then he pulls me aside, and he goes, I can just picture us getting married. And I was like, my mom said, afterwards I just said, and he said, can you? And I said, not really, I'm sorry, because I just met the kid that day.
Yeah.
And then my mom said, you're so nice, because I would have been like, what the heck is wrong with you? It was very embarrassing.
This has been your PSA not to talk to strangers. Nina.
No, it's when you're traveling. It's like Jake had an experience like this when he was 5. There was a girl named Ariel, and she kept inviting Jake back to her room to watch movies. And they had, Jake, are you listening to this? Are you turning different colors? Remember when Ariel fell in love with you on our Alaska cruise? Yeah, you were like, yeah, but it was pretty cute
Alaska?
because one day after Kids Club, Amy came up, Jake's mom came up to collect him after Kids Club, and she said, Jakey's my boyfriend. And Amy looked at Jake and said, is that true? And Jake, ever the gentleman, said, pretty much.
Oh my goodness.
So is the show not working? What's all this?
No, we're good.
Oh, okay.
But
going.
Alaska?
All the ruckus.
Could you see Russia?
From our porch.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Because I'm looking at Matt's screen and I don't see any show.
I paused.
Oh,
I
you
paused
paused.
the video because I don't want to be viewing the video while we're trying to stream it.
Oh, yeah, it's
So, yeah.
But
distracting.
we all look
Yeah.
so pretty.
We look pretty.
Well, but I will cause buffering issues.
What about
So-
that? Well, I don't like not being able to see me.
We'll have that up. That will be, yeah. This has been, like, MacGyver looked at this and went, I'm out.
I don't get that reference.
Okay.
What?
Google
okay,
it.
wait.
I live under a
Okay,
rock.
so PSA, MacGyver is on Netflix. Everyone here should watch every episode, as I did.
MacGyver can make anything out of anything. And he looked at the setup of our room and said, I cannot do that. It's over my head. I don't have enough rubber bands to make that happen. It's not a thing that's going to, yes?
But I'm just gotta say that it's like an hour-long Indiana Jones that goes on for like 7 seasons, and it's great. You should watch it.
I'm rewatching Gilmore Girls, so it's just like...
Oh, that's my soft spot. All right, so Chloe writes, there's this girl in my gym class, and she's such a jerk. She pretty much called me ugly. She said if you always wear your glasses, people will start to think you're ugly without them. And whenever I take them off, she tells me to put them on. Am I offended over nothing? She kind of thinks she's better than everyone else, too. Even though she's overweight, wears blue eyeshadow up to her eyebrows, and wears the tightest, most revealing clothing. She's really bossy, too. Plus, there's this boy in my class who's a grade up, and she's threatening to tell him I like him just because she thinks it would be funny. Somehow she found out about my BFF's crush, too, and is making a big deal about it. Am I getting offended over nothing? Aaron.
No, it sounds like you're getting offended over a lot of things, actually. Every single one of those things is kind of like really either rude or outright nasty. This person, okay, you're not calling her your friend, which is good because she's definitely not your friend. She's just being a jerk. Like, she's just one of those people who's out to be a jerk. And one day, hopefully, she'll grow up. But for now, literally the best thing you can do is say, listen, I don't appreciate anything you're doing. And outside of that, avoid her. And that's not always easy, but Nina?
I have 2 things to say about this. Number 1, since when do people say, like, about people with glasses, I bet she's ugly without glasses? Like, when did that ever become something?
I got glasses in 5th grade, the year I won the
Louise,
yo-yo.
I have never once looked at you and said, I bet she doesn't look good without them.
And you get that. You do get these comments
Really?
about, like, take off your glasses, and then you take them off, and they're like, ew, put them back on.
That's horrible.
All the time. Yes.
That's horrible.
And you really feel like you have a different face without your glasses. Like, you don't feel like normal, like with them when you first put them on or when you take them off. Like, you think that people are like staring at you like, what's so different? Oh my God, I can't handle your face without your glasses. Like, you get really, really sensitive about it because people do make like rude, blunt comments about your glasses. Sam?
I mean, I kind of get the same stuff. People tell me I look more dramatic when I wear my glasses and I look smarter. So I'm a little offended just by saying, like, you say I look smarter with my glasses. Am I stupid looking when I'm not wearing them?
And then I thought, well, I have to wear them and not wear them equal amounts of time so that people will accept my face both ways.
Yeah. It's an accessory. Get over it.
Exactly. But what I wanted to say is, like, this girl is obviously being obnoxious, but I don't think you're helping by describing her as being overweight and her eyeshadow and blah, 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 blah. Because the fact that you're saying it to us means that you think it, means that you may have said it out loud to her or friends or people that know both of you. And like, let's take looks completely off the table here, because if you don't want her making fun of yours, then don't. And also, you're kind of shaming her about wearing revealing clothing, and let's just take that off the table and like deal with people's personalities. Because once you remove all of the sort of external things, you can just say, you're hurting my feelings, and you haven't hurt hers, so it's really just us as human beings, like, addressing each other. I would appreciate it if you didn't threaten to tell people I like them or get into my personal life, but I'm going to be nice to you in gym class, and could you please be nice to me?
Yeah.
Because everything you've said here about her appearance, you've probably said to friends, and it's probably gotten back to her, and she probably thinks that you don't think she's pretty, so she's gone on the attack.
That's just thinking to her level. Like, you can't complain about what someone's doing and then go and do the same thing. You have to be the bigger person. Sorry. What was I going to say?
Yeah, be the bigger person. Exactly.
I totally lost my train of thought right now.
I know Matt is so distracting when he holds up signs, but...
Oh, yeah, and I was going to say, like, this behavior that she's doing, like trying to make you feel bad about yourself, just stems from insecurity, which is a reason that a lot of bullies, like, do the things they do, is because they're very insecure about themselves. So it's okay to be offended, but don't be offended because you can't take it personally. It's stemming from the inside of them. That's why they're saying these things. Right.
It always says way more about the person that they're saying these things than it says about you. It's just hard because I know when you're in gym class, you already feel vulnerable because you're wearing whatever the heck they're making you wear, and you're having to do physical things that you may or may not be doing as well as other people. It's the most vulnerable place at school, I'm convinced, is gym. Like, that's where you're at your most susceptible to being bullied because of wearing less clothing and having to do physical activities. There's just so many reasons to get made fun of. And so she's just going on the attack before somebody attacks her. And, you know, I kind of truncated this note, and there's more in there about how, like, you're kind of friends, but I would say, like, be her friend, you know, because she's really just looking for someone to have her back. And if you have her back, then she'll have yours. And she probably would be much happier knowing that you're not going to make fun of her about her blue eyeshadow or whatever her weight is, and then she wouldn't say anything about your glasses or your appearance or your crushes or anything else. She's just trying to get some ammunition on you, and if you don't give her any reason to use it, she probably won't. Any other thoughts? So Cora BXX writes, I really need help. My dad was driving me to school this morning, and I had a lot on my mind. My dad can be kind of a beep sometimes, and this was one of those mornings. We were really late for school. He kept saying things just to annoy me and kept getting at me, pushing me further and further, and I was crying and screaming at him to leave me alone, and then I threw my hairbrush at him and I slapped him. I didn't mean to, and I apologized straight away. My mother has spoken to him, but he's so angry and I'm scared. I don't know what to do. He has so much power, and I hate it. What do I do? Nina?
You want to go?
Said your name.
I did.
Sorry. I think this sounds like he's very controlling, and if your mom can't stand up to him, that's sort of a problem. But he seems like sort of a scary person, and I feel like this is not a good situation in any way. But I feel like, even though you apologize, slapping and throwing is not going to help. I think that's just going to make it worse. So don't just. Sam.
So I have a father who can be extremely aggravating as well. So I'm just going to say straight out right now, flat out, that throwing the hairbrush and slapping him was the absolute, well, not the absolute worst thing to do, but a really terrible thing to do, not the way to handle it. It shows immaturity and also disrespect. Granted, yes, it's kind of a beep, but that's not what you do. You have to have an open dialogue. You really do. You have to talk to your mother more to stand up for you need for her to stand up for you, and you need to stand up for yourself, but not in a violent way, because you should not allow yourself to be bullied and have a bully in your family like that. That's a parent. That's not what a parent does. Shouldn't act that way around you. Aaron?
So going off of what you're saying, because I think that you're onto something, is that you end your post with, "He has so much power and I hate it. What do I do?" So it's a power struggle. You think he is overbearing, he is this, he is that, and you have no control over the whole situation. But the problem is that if you're seeing this as a struggle and you're coming in punching wildly, kicking, screaming, you've already lost whatever that confrontation is. You've lost. That's it. This one is done. But it's, every loss is a chance to learn something new. So take it from here. Say, all right, so I screwed up, I goofed, apologize. You have apologized. Keep apologizing. Good. Now you can focus on the next step. Like Sam was saying, this sounds like a thing maybe you can't do on your own, and that's fine. That's sort of how it works with parents. But there's two of them in this case. So talk to your mom. Team together, right? Make sure she understands your position. And from there, she can open the door to have, like, constructive conversations with your dad. And you don't have to do it necessarily one-on-one even. And you can talk about evening the playing field, right? Like, if you feel he's got so much power, like, what does that mean? In this context, it's really hard to tell. Maybe you think he's being, I don't know, borderline abusive or something, or maybe you think that you are growing up and you want more responsibility, more freedoms, right? Like, I can't tell which angle you're coming from. But either way, this is the way to go about it, right? Get some backup. And then, with a level head, calmly move forward.
Well, excellent points. The thing about growing up is that your parents do have all the power. It's just that hopefully they will use it in a mature fashion and not in a expression of their frustration, because raising children is very frustrating. Getting you to school, getting him to work, and whatever else was on his mind that day is all really frustrating. And if you were late or running late or whatever, and he just kept remembering one more thing that you did that caused him to get off track that day, and it was just like pushing, then your response was really kind of like the lowest level of human behavior, violence. Like there's no rational thought. It's just, I've just erupted, and then this happens. And so we don't want that, because we always know that violence is like, it's not going to give you the result that you're looking for. Like you were trying to say, I need to be heard. I need to be heard. I need to be heard. And he wasn't listening. And so you threw a brush at him. But we now you live with the knowledge that you threw a brush at your father while he was driving, which is really unsafe, and hit him. So that is the worst pain, is to live with the knowledge that you threw a brush at your father. That hurts worse than him getting hit by a brush or anything he said to you. Like, you've done the worst damage to yourself. And so we don't want that. We want you to have coping skills that kind of like click into place before you become violent and do something that you can't undo. So when your dad is like pushing your buttons like that, just, dad, please stop. Just please stop. And you're going to get to school, and then you can get out and like kick a tree or whatever you need to do. But you can't be violent, because now you're living with what that feels like, and you know that you don't want to revisit this. And this will blow over. Your dad's feelings are hurt too, because his kid threw a brush at him. So you need to apologize in a way that sounds like, in her post, in the longer version of the post, she said, I apologized 100 times. Did you apologize in a sincere way? Where you just like, instead of, because there's a difference between, I'm sorry, and I am so sorry. I just really lost it, Dad. And I never should have done that. I'm like, so sorry. Because you have to first concede that he has the power. What he's doing with that power, not good. He's being a bully. But your parents do have the power. And that's just the way life works. That they're the ones that raise us. So they have that power. And, there's other things that you could do, like with your mom, to talk about what to do if I feel really bullied. But violence is not going to get you the result that you need. We're going to go to the phone real quick. Hello? Hello? Are you watching us on...
Our first caller on YouTube.
Yeah, it's new. It's first YouTube caller. So, all right. So, just so that you know, Jordan, you're going to be our first Skype caller next week, and we're gonna. Yeah. So you're gonna have to get your parents' permission to have your face on, or we could just use your voice if you want. but we're going to be talking to you about how to set that up because Justin, not everybody can call in via Skype. We have to. What do we have to do, Justin, to get so that Jordan can call in?
Oh, it's gonna be Skype.
Right, but doesn't she, do I have to send her a link or something like?
No, she doesn't have to do that anymore. That was that Wirecast cam. We're not doing that.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Bunch of techies.
Justin's-
That was a Wirecast cam thing. We're not doing that anymore.
So how's
We're
it get-
doing
it-
Skype?
All right, so explain how it's going to like. Let's say that because you were telling me that like only our favorite viewers were going to be able to use it. What's going to happen?
Discrimination.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody.
I'm a
anybody
favorite.
can use
You
it.
are.
Basically, the Wirecast cam was going to be difficult to set up.
Okay.
And so basically, basically what we did was
Matt just threw a card at Justin
Violence.
to get close.
so
Oh,
what
my
we did
cornea!
was,
it's
I
Nina's
looked at-
backpack.
I looked into it, and Skype is going to be the option we're going to be able to do. So anybody that has Skype, we just basically they just need to call in, and we'll get their.
What would be
info.
the what would be the Skype? Would they need to know our Skype name to call in?
They need to know our Skype. Yeah.
What is it?
I don't know.
Well,
have,
that's so helpful.
we have yet to set it up. We'll set that up. It'll be easy. It'll
All
be
right.
fine.
It'll be Wheezy Rocks 1, 2, 3, 6.
Yeah. So we'll have that for you next week, and then it will be just that we'll be asking viewers to have your parents' permission to put your face on, because I know that not everybody's parents want their face on the internet. So that will you and I will be talking about that this week, Mrs. Culfer. What's going on with you? Have you been listening to the questions?
Sort of, along with playing with the emojis on here.
Oh, okay.
Have
Well, tell me.
emojis?
Could you please report to us on the user experience of YouTube broadcast, Jordan?
It's fun. There are a lot of emojis.
More than in, say, chat, if you're chatting or messaging somebody?
Like on iMessage.
Like, iMessage, yeah.
I think about the same amount.
Is there sushi?
Does it have sushi?
I don't know. That's a good
We
question.
should get sushi.
What emojis have you sent to Matt so far?
I'm so over the
Emoji.
emojis already.
He's already
Yeah,
over it.
yeah. Jordan, why don't you tell what emoji you put there?
Would you-
Are you ashamed?
It's poo.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
I
You've been
applaud
called
you.
out.
Is that the happy poo?
Yeah,
Because
is
there's
there
a
such
happy
thing as happy
there's a
poo?
happy smiling poo with 2 flies above it.
No.
What's the poo?
There's
No.
flies, or is this like the iPhone
Or is
emojis,
it, is it
or the
steam
different?
coming off? It's
What's the poo in South Park?
on?
there's
I
poo
was-
in South Park.
Yeah. There's like a little...
You watch
Uh,
South Park, Wheezy?
I love
yeah.
South Park.
Oh,
Wait.
There's like animated...
brother watches it.
Jakey, what's the animated poo in South Park? Mr. Hanky, yeah.
but does
Why,
that's
and
the-
it doesn't make any sense, because why would poo wind up on your hanky?
who has hankies?
Why would that happen?
Who does have hankies?
We have Kleenex.
Old-timey people?
Like people we've brought from the 20s.
All right, thank you for calling in, Mrs. Culfer. We really do appreciate all the emojis that you're sending to Matt.
Especially the
But
poop.
don't send him poo. No.
Send him sushi.
Send him sushi. Yeah, send him a little cake or some cookies. He loves cookies. Send him some pizza.
Well, there's a cookie on here.
All right, we'll find a cookie, and we love you. Thank you, and we will be seeing your face next week
Hopefully.
with your
Okay.
with your parents' permission. Okay. So Dance 1755 writes, someone respond ASAP. My brother got caught shoplifting about $80 worth of stuff, and my mom hates him because he... All right, I speak very good typo
Do you?
and very good autocorrect, and I don't know what this is. He vapes and drinks.
Oh, that's not a typo.
That's not a typo.
Vaping is a thing.
Vaping's a thing?
Yeah.
Where have you been?
What kind of thing?
It's like the alternative to smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's vaporized
He
smoking.
vapes. Vape's a word.
And you can
Yeah.
do it's not just tobacco. You can
Isn't
do it with
water
marijuana.
vapor not
Vape-
bad for you though?
vape.
Oh yeah.
Vape is a verb.
Well,
Yes,
yeah, I
to
wouldn't
vape.
do it, but
All right, so he vapes and drinks
13. You shouldn't
and
be
gets in
doing-
trouble a lot. And he was on a band trip in Disney, and we had to come to see him. And now
Was
we
he
have
in Mauschwitz? That's what I'm a Jew and I'm saying that, but that's what the Disneyland jail is called. I'm not kidding.
really. What's it called?
Mauschwitz.
Oh yeah, when they lock you up for doing something nasty at the park.
It's true. I hate.
Is that because Walt Disney was anti-Semitic?
Well,
Okay, there's
anyway, moving
and
on.
how his frozen head is underneath
Oh,
Disneyland.
yes,
Yes, we
definitely,
know that.
Definitely.
Okay, Aaron. Anyway, let me finish the question, and then I'm going to you, Aaron. We're going around the room. All right. He was on a band trip in Disney, and we had to come see him, and now we have to go home, and what should I do? Please respond ASAP. Aaron.
First of all, we like Disney.
Right. Oh,
we
I
like Disney here.
love it.
Second of all, about the name of this person, Dance 1755.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Dance Like It's 1755? Because
I don't know.
that's getting really fancy.
Yeah.
Give me your hand.
Where-
Party like it's 17.
Right, but don't show your ankle around.
Scandal.
All right, so
Scandal.
now the actual question. Oh, and also, he was on a band trip at Disney, and we had to come. Oh, yes, you had to come see him. You just
Well,
had to go to
no,
Disney.
but she's a kid. She's just saying that they wanted to go see him, and now they have to go home. He spoiled all their fun by vaping.
No. That
No, they have to go like pick up
No.
someone when they're in jail.
no, but I did not get.
prison.
No. Here's the thing. I don't think. Oh, I understand. So you're saying that he got caught at Disneyland
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
those
yeah.
things.
And there goes their
Interesting.
fun. Their Disney.
They were
Interesting.
stealing $80. That's like one thing at
Oh,
Disneyland.
yeah, that is like one thing at Disneyland. All right, so but got shoplifting $80, and we assume that he's doing all this stuff in Disneyland. First off, stupid idea. Don't Disney sees everything you do. There's
Cameras everywhere.
There's one person who's gotten away with it
Ooh,
of anything bad in Disneyland.
Who's that?
What?
Goofy?
No,
Miley Cyrus.
Pluto.
no.
Miley Cyrus.
Banksy. Banksy.
What did
yeah.
Banksy get away with?
Graffiti art, or not graffiti art. It was like a 3D art installation.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
He's like the world's foremost graffiti artist.
I live under a rock.
Oh,
Oh, Jake's mic. Oh, Jake's camera.
sorry, I
Jake's
was
mic.
supposed to cue Matt when I
Studio.
do that.
Oh, yeah. Jake's mic. Jake's camera.
I know the story behind that because I saw the movie. Right after this was involving the Guantanamo Bay, everything, and he put like an inflatable doll thing that would look like one of the prisoners with the bag over his head and everything, and he was gonna like put it up in one of the scenes from one of the rides.
Awesome.
And he did not get caught, but the guy who filmed him got caught, and he like stashed all of the videotapes like in his shoe or something like that, so they wouldn't make him erase them and everything.
Big shoe.
So there's actual footage of the whole event. Which
Is this
pretty
an exit
cool.
through the gift shop?
Yes.
Yes.
Then I have seen it, so I just don't remember it. 'cause
Okay.
Is that the horror movie?
No.
No, it's a really excellent documentary about Banksy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Super neat.
I live under.
All right, so back to her problem.
Right. Back to the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, this is not your problem really to deal with. This is something your parents have to deal with, and
I know, but-
anything that you know.
But just pretend that the problem is my parents hate my delinquent brother. What do I do? Because you do feel like you're in the middle of it when it's your brother acting that way.
Yeah.
Nina.
I think she used the word hate very loosely. Her
Yeah.
parents do not hate their
They're-
son.
But they're extremely angry.
If
and,
they're
yeah,
mad,
upset.
if they care about what he's doing and they're mad, they obviously do not hate him.
No, they don't. But can you understand, though,
Oh yeah,
how, like, in her...
this happened in my house.
You know, like, everything in a child for a child is
I probably
black
not
or
me.
white. They just see... They don't see the shades of gray. They just see the black and the white. So it's like, my brother's being bad. My parents don't like him. Or they experience the animosity in the household... And I'm in the middle. I love my brother. I love my parents. I don't like all this discord. I wanted to go to Disneyland. So anyway,
This
go ahead.
happened. My brother did something that my mom did not tolerate, and I felt like really bad because he said to me, "He's like you never get in trouble," and it's like I feel if she's doing that, I know how she feels, and that's why she feels like, what should I do? Because it's not your fault, first of all, and if that's happening, you have to see. What I do is I sort of sit back and
enjoy the
just-
show.
and enjoy the show. But my mom and my brother, they usually just work it out. And I feel like this, well, not in Disneyland, but I feel like this vapes and drinking probably is a regular problem with a teenage boy growing up. So I don't think that you should be so...
He's also stealing, Nina.
Oh,
This guy's going to
that's
wind
a
up in
different story.
prison.
Do not steal,
Disney.
This
brother.
This guy's on the edge. He's on
Well,
the edge.
Well, who's he hang out with? This is...
It's those darn band kids.
He's hanging out with the
the
vapors.
trumpet and the saxophone.
Band
Last
kids.
year
Band kids.
at band camp? Yeah.
This one
So-
time at band
This
camp.
one time, yeah. No, so here's the thing. Like, what happens, like, when you're young is that you kids kind of carve out, like, this is the role I've been cast in, so I'm going to play it. And it's like he's playing bad kid, you're playing good kid. You're getting all good attention, he's getting all bad attention because kids need attention however they can get it. And so what you want to do is you don't want to play so easily into that, like, I'm the good girl. You want to just kind of say to him, hey, listen, Kyle, because I assume that's his name. Like, what's going on? Because I love you, but it's really hard for me to love you and love mom and dad and not be put in a position where I have to choose sides, and I don't want to have to choose sides. So, maybe just to tell him you're going to love him no matter what. He's obviously trying to get negative attention or trying to get his needs met in some way. Not that you have the tools to fix it, but don't so easily just continue being good and looking at him like, nah, 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 nah. Like, don't be that sibling. Don't be the neener.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
No, I know you don't do that. I know you don't. but it is a pattern that exists in a lot of households.
Well, I probably did something that I wasn't supposed to, but when he was acting like a dingus, I'm going to say it again, like a beep, I said to him, wow, you're being an arrogant little brat. And I said that to him, but it actually shape up, because sometimes you need to hear it from other people other than your parents.
Actually like that.
Yeah, see,
like
because
just
he shaped up, like,
Yeah.
right when I could, and his friend was right there, and I think, and even his friend was seeing it a little bit, because he was acting really arrogant, and as soon as I said that, like, sometimes you actually do need to hear it other than
From a sibling.
from your parent.
You can say like, dude,
because I'm usually always, like, with him, so that, me saying that
hearing
made
it
him,
from you, because he does love you. But you could look at your brother and go like, you harshed my Disney, dude. Come on. Like, what's up with you? And like, if he's like 4 years older, I could see where you're like, oh, I can't really talk to him. He's like a big kid. But you can't, or you can. Like, this isn't getting you anywhere, this whole vaping lifestyle of yours. I don't even know what that means. But yeah, and just tell your mom, like, look, I don't want to be in the middle, and I love him, and I love you guys, and there's really not a lot you can do when you're the kid in the situation, and you can learn from your brother, like, I don't want to be, fighting the law, because the law is going to win, especially the Disney law. This letter comes from Emma. My sister called me fat 3 times this year, and I just can't take it anymore. I don't want to live like this. What do I do? Now, this was part of a conversation where another kid in the app was giving her advice that was actually really, really useful. And it was kind of a heartwarming conversation to watch, because someone in the app was actually kind of really helping her feel better about herself. And when you call like a kid fat, you're doing more than just saying, hey, this name. Like, you really are putting that child in danger of like developing an eating disorder. And you could sit with your sister and just say, somehow this is making you feel better about yourself to use this word against me or whatever, but I'm still growing up, my body's going through changes, and I would appreciate if you didn't use that word, because there's like a lot of kids that have eating disorders, and I don't want to develop one because you're giving me a negative body image. So I don't know if you're capable of saying that much of a mouthful to your sister, but you could say stuff like, hey, you know what, you're pushing my buttons, I won't push your buttons if you don't push mine. Let's just not go there. But the advice that she was getting in the app was from a kid that was a little bit older and saying, look, you're still growing up, and your body is going to stretch out, and you're going to grow into your adult form. And like, as long as you're eating healthy, don't worry about exactly what you weigh. It really doesn't matter when you're 11, 12, 13, 14. It maybe matters when you're 25. If you put on an extra pound every year, then at 25 you can go on a diet. But mostly it's just about healthy eating, and your metabolism will take care of the rest of it. Any thoughts?
You have to put the ball in her court and say, if you love me and if you care about me, you'll stop calling me these things, because, you're hurting my feelings. And the point has come across already. Like, okay, you're fat. Like, you said it one time already. There's no need to keep saying it. You know what I mean? So tell her, you've said it once. I appreciate it. If you love me, you'll stop saying it. Like, I'm trying to work on myself, or, I'm trying to be positive about it, and you're just bringing me down.
Well, one of the things that she said further on in the conversation was, she said, my sister was like, hey, Emma, this dress comes in plus sizes. Now we can be twinsies. And, it's just like, so she'll find like different ways to just jab at her, like, that's just not cool. And she's like, and I'm not even a plus size, but it's still like, it just wounded her.
Oh, so her sister is plus size too?
No, her sister has the dress. And then she was saying, oh, look, now it comes in plus size, so you can have it too. And it was just a way of getting to her. And so she's just using this to get to you, because that somehow makes her feel powerful, like to put you in your place or something like that. But, your sister is not really the judge of like your who you are as a person, and how you look is never really relevant in terms of the grander picture of like who the human being that you're becoming. It's all very surfacey, but it's the first thing that people notice and that people think is important because everyone's talking about it. Like if someone posts a picture on Facebook, it's like, you look so cute. Like they don't say, you look so intelligent. Like, so it's like, how could we not notice looks? It's like right in our face. But always know that the deeper truth is like, who am I? How kind am I? What kind of friend am I? Like, because your body's changing rapidly at these ages. So this is not how you're going to look. You look in the mirror today, blink, you're going to look different. It's like, so don't base anything off of that, because it's really just kind of like the dance. It's fleeting. You know, adolescence goes by like this, and you really don't have to worry about it as long as you're eating a good, healthy diet. And just, you can say, when people use the word fat, the F words like fat or fag or whatever, those are horrible words to slang.
Just pretend she's saying PHAT.
That's dope. That's dope.
There you go.
That's not relevant, like, at all.
I'm vaping off of that, though.
What? Okay, Wheezy, no, that's not, like,
It's not a thing?
I'm vaping out. I'll vape to that.
Yeah, you're not, and don't let her put you in that position where you're like saying things like, I don't want to live like this. It's you're gonna live because you're awesome and you're a human being, and you know you're a product of the universe and nature, and you exist. Therefore, you're valid. So no one gets to call you a name that judges on whatever weight comes up when you step on a scale. That's just science. Jake will be like, but science is really important. Yeah, but it doesn't define our character. It's all about character, people.
Well, no.
Well.
Keep your mouth shut, mister.
All right, so the next part is kind of
Geyser,
like a
whoever-
little bit of a thread theater thing. Do you guys want to delve into this? This is going to be controversial.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not
yes.
religious. I'm spiritual, so I'm not taking part in this.
All right. So we're going to do a little thread theater. We'll just start with Aaron, and just all four of you can read each of these parts. And this came into debating, and it starts with, I know your weakness. Go ahead, Aaron.
All right. Do you think the God that Jews, Christians, and Muslims worship is the same God, or are they different? People say that they are the same, but if Jesus is God according to Christians, how can Jews and Muslims worship the same God as Christians if they don't have the same view of Jesus? Sorry if this is a stupid debate, lol. I just don't understand it all.
Sierra
Rocks.
Rocks, yeah. Thanks. You speak username? I don't. Go ahead, Nina.
Oh, I just forgot the microphone there. Well, for one, God is not Jesus, and Jesus is not God. They are two different people. God is his own
Entity.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
dumb. Jesus is the Son of God and our Savior and died for our sins. But yes, the God that Christians, Jews, and Muslims believe in is ultimately the same, but they just have a little different views on some things.
I know your weakness.
Why do Christian prayers use the names Jesus and God interchangeably then?
Who wants to be Weezy? Sam?
Let's vape. It's a really good question. I think it's because Christians believe that Jesus is the presence of God on earth.
So,
Are we ready to delve into this?
Yeah, let's delve. Go.
All right, so first of all, my light understanding of why people sort of group them together is because they are sort of the Abrahamic religions. In other words, if you go back in their belief systems, the person that all three religions believe took the first step in the right direction was Abraham, who said, "Nah, you know what? All these idols and idolatry, let's forget all about all that. There's the one God, and that's the God that I'm going to start hanging out with."
Right.
And then from there, from that point onward, because he wasn't Jewish, from that point onward, you got Judaism and you got all the others. And
so when they talk about the Judeo-Christian philosophy, it's sort of like the beginning of monotheistic thought, which is that rather than there being lots of Roman or Greek gods, a god for the sun, a god for the weather, a god for lost objects. I don't know if that's just a Catholic thing, but there were all these different gods, and so depending on what your needs were, you would pray to a different god, and there were all these myths that sort of told different stories about why the planets were there, and it was really just people trying to understand why we're all here. And the first people, I guess, to say, well, I think there's just one sort of entity that is in charge of all of the heavens and all of the earths, and that's the beginning of monotheism. So it's hard to say exactly. Everyone likes to give Abraham the credit for that, but I think he freed the slaves. I don't know. You know,
Thinking about Lincoln?
no, I'm just.
She's getting her
it's a
Abraham's
joke.
crossed.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Aaron.
Although arguably, and it's debatable because there's lots of connotations are strange, but Zoroastrianism might be the first recorded monotheistic religion, and that was a big deal. That was a huge thing. And there are questions regarding its monotheism. There may be sort of another deity, kind of, or like the flip side of that same deity. It's complicated, but the whole point is there's a whole big debate about exactly when monotheism starts, and but the Abrahamic religions are specifically referring to this one God whose name is not really knowable.
All right, so
Yeah.
then let's get right to the difference between God and Jesus, because it's true that when you go to a Christian church, they do mention Jesus more often than they mention God, and so they mention that Jesus, Son of God, God would give us His greatest sacrifice and sacrifice His Son, who would come to earth, be born in a human form, suffer and die for our sins. So Christians, I think when they say Jesus, they do mean God and Jesus, because they see Jesus as
As God, because he was more than a man.
right, yeah, as God's greatest gift to us, His Son in human form. So I think then when they say Jesus, in Jesus' name we pray, they are encompassing all that is what's the word for deity?
That's
What
the
God,
word.
deity, God, deity,
Yeah, but not a noun, but all that is deific.
all that is holy.
Yeah, all that is holy. Yes, very good. Oh, do we have a phone call about this? Matt?
We do. Space Ghost is on the line.
Space Ghost.
Coast to coast.
Do you have any
Hello.
Do you have any thoughts about God and Jesus?
Well, I was raised to be Christian my whole life,
Mhm.
but over the past about 3 years, I started, drifting off and saying, well, I've never really followed this and never really believed it, so I started to fiddle around with things, and I'm just an atheist, but I'm extremely respectful of anybody, and in my GED class, we debate religion all the time, and, that's just kind of my stance on it. And I just believe that you should follow your own individual path and to determine your own religion on your own personal thoughts. And that's how I feel, because I think parents really shouldn't, force their religious beliefs on their kids to let their kids determine what they believe on their own. So.
Yeah, I think parents could give you some good groundwork and say, you are this, and this is who we are. But then when you get to a point where you say, well, I would like to be this or that or believe this or that, the parent should be, okay, well, I respect that because I've given you all of my lessons, all the wisdom that you've learned through going to church about the Ten Commandments or about treating others the way you'd like to be treated, all these good things that come from Judaism, Christianity, Muslim, all these religions. And, if you want to study other religions and go to churches and learn, or mosques and learn what they learn, then you'll find, wow, we're actually more alike than we are different. Jake?
Matt. You would say comes from Islam, not comes from Muslim. Just little correction. I
Okay.
feel like that's my job.
Thank you, fact checker. Comes from
I was going to correct you, but
Islam, the world of Islam, and all the teachings and studying religion. I think for you, Space Ghost, when you get to college, studying religion would be really good because you have a good Christian background, but now you're kind of wanting to know more about what other people believe because you're of the belief now that any pathway that leads to a good righteous life is a pathway that's worthy of your respect, and I respect that view, and thank you for calling and sharing it with us. We will see you soon. All right, Nina, your thoughts on religion?
Yeah, I totally agree with her. I'm
Yeah.
thinking I totally respect everyone's religions. I'm not, that isn't right. Like I'm not that kind of person. I don't really put a label on what I believe in. I believe in like signs and all that stuff. I'm weird like that, but it's funny. A weird thing happened with my family is that my grandparents and my aunts and uncles and cousins, when we lived in New York, everybody was like Christian, and that's what we did. We went to church and everything. And then when we we don't really talk to them anymore, which I'm not going to get into, but when we moved, my mom actually changed. We all three of us sort of expanded from Christianity, and which is surprising because my mom grew up up until she was like 45 being Christian, and now we're sort of, my brother's an atheist, but my mom and I, we believe in that source. But I totally respect any religion. I'm not against any religion. I love learning about it, so I agree with her.
You grew up Christian, Allie?
I grew up Christian, but it's not till recently that I like understand it. Like I wouldn't consider myself a religious person. I consider myself more spiritual, and I believe 100% that there's a God. I've experienced that firsthand. But I would say to anyone out there, Christianity is not about rules. It's more about a relationship with God and prayer, and like any relationship that you have with a best friend. And putting work into it is the same thing.
But what about the question is, what's the difference between Jesus and God? Did I answer that question correctly? Because I was raised Jewish, so I don't understand as much about Christianity as a lot of people do.
I mean, Jesus is the Son of God. I wouldn't say Jesus is the presence of God on earth, really.
So who's Jesus, who's God, and who's the Holy Ghost?
Holy Spirit is like what lives inside of you. Like when you ask God into your heart, that's like it's almost like the feeling you get when you're about to do something you're not supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like that's what I consider it as, like the Holy Spirit living inside of you.
Okay, so it's just.
But when I pray to God. I consider God and Jesus kind of like the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm still kind of confused about that, but
Aaron?
And this is in no way I don't mean this to insult. I mean this is an actual question. Is that Christianity is a monotheistic religion, but you do have the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, right? And I'm wondering because that's like it's the Holy Trinity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that's what it's called?
Yeah.
When they cross themselves, that's all three. Yeah.
Right. So like I get that much, but I'm trying to wonder. Like I'm trying to figure out how the Holy Trinity and monotheism. How is that possible?
Well, I think that when Christianity started as a sect of Judaism, they just believed that the Messiah had come, but they were Jews.
And that part I get.
And so when it was like 300 years later, and they were in Rome trying to kind of formalize how this religion is going to be separate from Judaism, they were like, well, how are we still monotheistic if there's Jesus, if there's God, and then the Son of God? And I think they thought if they add a third thing, that a triangle looks more like one thing than just two things. So I think they were just trying to format it in a way that blended with the pagan religions of Rome and with Judaism, so that everyone understood. Because let's face it, here on Earth, we don't really know why we're here or who made us or what made us or what our purpose is. And all of religions throughout history are us trying to make sense of everything. And anyone if you say that it's God speaking through you that wrote the Bible, the gospel according to Mark, according to Luke, according to John, according to Matthew, those are still people. Those are all people. And that was their version of the life of Christ and why he was here on earth and what we are supposed to learn from his presence here on earth. It's still people. And you just have to trust that God is speaking through them. Even the Old Testament, who wrote that? There's lots of different studies done about the different voices in the Old Testament, so that I think they gave the writers of the Old Testament different names, but they're numbers or letters or something like that, because they can tell from the style of writing. So it was still people, and we want to believe it was God that wrote the Bible, but it was still God speaking through people, and you just have to trust that they had the voice of God in them. So I love studying religion, and I think it's here to teach us really how to be good people and how to cherish each other and the lives that we've been given. And if you went to college and you studied religion and you said, what's the difference between Jesus and God? Every kid in the classroom might have a different answer to that question. Even if you went and spoke to a priest and then spoke to a minister and then spoke to a preacher, you might get slightly different answers. Yes, Nina?
Yeah, I agree. Even listening, we're both spiritual. It's funny because I believe in God, but when I pray to this might sound cheesy, but like it's like sort of like the universe, like that's sort of somewhere like that way. So it's like even in the same belief system, it's like people can have totally different
their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, and it's interesting that we always think of God as a he, but we always think of Mother Nature as a girl. So I think between the two of them, they've got it all figured out, and we don't know all the answers while we're in our human form. You know, we're meant to struggle with these thoughts, and that's what makes life challenging and fascinating. Yes, Jake.
We actually think of Mother Nature as a girl from Roman's history or Roman mythology, where it was Gaia who was like the earth itself, and like she gave birth to like all the different things that happened because we all come from the planet Earth, so it seems reasonable to assume that that is our mother in the end.
Wonderful closing thought from Jake. We are Our Place Out Loud. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, YouTube, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
I've
Thank you,
been
Jesus.
out there wandering. I've been in here wondering, hoping, reaching, or wishing I could find my way. Then I found our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. I may look a little hazy and I may feel a little crazy. I'm sifting through confusion and I'm searching for solutions, and I know I'm answer bound, 'cause I found our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care and hear you, heal you, steer you back to kindness. Your soul may be in tatters. You'll learn what really matters. And our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care and hear you, heal you, steer you back to kindness. Your soul may be in tatters. You'll learn what really matters. And our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care and hear you, heal you, steer you back to kindness. Your soul may be in tatters. You'll